Hello, everyone. I think since you guys were good enough to join right on time, we will get started. We are waiting for a few other people, but I think we can begin while we are waiting for other people to join. So a very good afternoon to you. My name is Amy Clinton. I am your webinar host and also the program director for the Women in Leadership program from Optimum Results. The idea of this webinar is to give participants a further insight into what this program is all about, what the inspiration for the program is, and to get a real sense of whether or not it's right for you or maybe the learners for whom you have this program in mind. We will be taking questions in the chat throughout the session, myself and Nikki, also from Optimum Results. So do feel free to put your questions in the chat as we go through the session, and we will address them. We will endeavour to answer all of your questions, but if there is anything that we cannot answer, we will come back to you in a timely fashion. So just for those that don't know, the webinar takes about 40 minutes. And if you need to go beforehand, that's fine, but we'd encourage you to try to stay till the end if at all possible. So straight up, I think it's important to just give a brief introduction to Optimum Results for anyone who may not be familiar with our brand. So Optimum Results is a name that's very well known in the training industry in Ireland and in Europe. And I guess the points on the slide speak for themselves. So across almost 3 decades, we've served 22,000 clients across 21 countries. And we are a trusted training provider, not only for private companies and their staff, but also for government agencies, so local enterprise boards, but also the likes of Enterprise Ireland. So we've worked with numerous Irish women in business and also female business owners throughout those 3 decades. But this is the first time we are bringing a program especially for women to the marketplace, and we are very excited about that. So again, for anybody who may be in a hurry today, we wanted to get the benefits of the program on the agenda fairly early. So if you're thinking, how will I gain from this program, and is it right for me? What is the bottom line? What are the outputs going to be for me? The first thing I would say is increased professional confidence and self-awareness, increased self-belief, because this program aims to enlighten women to the barriers that exist for all women across industries, the barriers to the pathway to senior leadership, the challenges they will meet along the way, regardless of their ability or their previous achievements. And so if we know that the reasons we're not doing well in our career might be from something in our external environment and not a reflection of our ability, it helps to increase our self-belief. And also we know that, all self-growth starts with establishing where we are and being self-aware. And that's certainly something that people will experience in spades from being involved in this program. From this program, you'll gain the ability to build strong relationships, strong professional relationships. You'll be confident enough to build those relationships. You'll understand the value of them, but also you will get a better understanding of what it is to network really well and gain the confidence to network effectively. You'll get your communication skills will definitely benefit from this program. We look at topics like how to communicate with strategic intent. So what do we mean by that? How to communicate in a way that people will be inspired by what you're saying and will feel like they want to buy into your vision. We will also discuss the idea of communicating and speaking in a way that people will listen, in a way that will make it more difficult for people to interrupt you when you're speaking. You'll gain competence in reading financial data, but also in presenting financial data. So we know the ability to work at senior management levels does require confidence and competence in dealing with financial data. And while you might not have a financial background, With a certain amount of learning, you can learn to read numbers very well and understand what they're telling us about the business and its performance. So you'll come away with a glossary of terms and an understanding of the kind of data that will help you to make informed decisions for your business. You will learn the art of personal branding and self-advocacy. Personal branding and self-advocacy. This program is very strongly couched in research. The research was the inspiration from the program, and we'll speak more about that. But the Women in Business, the Women in Leadership program aims to teach participants the art of personal branding and self-advocacy so that they can be confident and do the best job of putting themselves forward for promotional opportunities. You'll gain an increased understanding of the digital landscape. This seems a little bit, different than the other topics on the course, but actually we are living through the age of digital disruption starting, happening at lightning speed in our lifetimes on Earth. And we know again from the research that the digital landscape and digital tools are good for gender parity. They enable women to compete with their male counterparts on a more level playing field. For example, the ability to work remotely, the ability to network online and not having to be physically at networking events. Participants finally will get an understanding of authentic leadership and what it is to lead and inspire people. If you're an organization and you are considering this program for your staff, you may wonder, how will my organization gain from this program? So again, straight up, we would say in-house management talent. This program is coaching people for senior management roles, to gain the confidence to take on increased responsibility and to get the skills that they need to do that. It will also afford companies who participate the opportunity to have more diverse senior leadership teams from within the existing team. Fresh perspectives. So what do we mean by that? Well, this program is very new. It's based on the most current research in the area of gender parity in the workplace. And we hope that learners will be inspired by what they learn on the program, by the content, and that they will want to take it back to the organization and share it with their colleagues so that their colleagues can also benefit from the learning. Confident representation of your brand. If participants are learning about personal branding, they will have a better understanding of the value of branding in general, and they will be better placed to represent your brand in the best possible light. Again, increased in-house digital skills and better use of financial data by teams led by participants of this program. And potentially one of the best advantages, more female role models within your organization for other females who are aspiring to management positions. Because we know, again, from our research, both in Ireland and abroad, the lack of female role models is a major stumbling block for women who are aiming to gain roles in management. So if you're an individual and you're wondering if this course is right for you, I think it's important to call out some things. So this course is definitely for you if you are eager to progress your career. It's definitely for you if you are open to learning new skills. It will take you out of your comfort zone. Remember, we should all be out of our comfort zone when we're learning new things. But it will be worth maybe a little bit of discomfort for the brilliant skills and the brilliant self-awareness that you'll gain from that experience. This program wasn't developed with any particular industry or profession in mind. The research that led the development of this program identified barriers to women's progression that are seen in every industry and every profession across the board. If you enjoy interactive learning, you'll definitely enjoy this program. We are strong believers here in Optimum Results in learning by doing. So the workshops will be very interactive and you will have ample opportunity to put the learning into action. This program is not specifically designed for those who have an academic background. It's broader than that, and it will be very enjoyable and very doable for people from academic and non-academic backgrounds. Again, just a little reminder that if you have any questions, you're welcome to pop them into the chat box, and myself or Nikki will be happy to answer them. So just a quick run through of what we're going to cover. So background, we're going to look at the inspiration for this program, the background to the program, how we finally brought a program specifically designed for women in leadership to the market. We're going to take a closer look at the barriers to women's professional success. And then we're going to explain how the program presents solutions to these barriers, strategies and learned skills that participants can use to surmount those barriers. We're going to look at practical aspects of the program structure, the extra elements, the program investment, how much the program costs, and how to book a place on this program should you decide that it's the one for you. So as I said at the beginning, we were inspired by the increasing number of research reports from industry about the unlevel playing field for women and men in corporate and in politics, and in fact in every area of life. So that research reveals to us that traditional leadership training is not serving women in business. Despite significant investment in their education, women are failing to achieve at the same level as their male counterparts. We believe that ambitious women at every level need training designed specifically to address the unique barriers to progression that they face. Women need better professional networking opportunities. So the subject of networking comes up time and time again in these research reports. The fact that men have more time for networking, they're generally better at networking, and in general are achieving more benefits to their professional lives through networking. And we want participants of this program to learn key networking skills and the value of networking that will help them to make connections that will benefit their careers. Finally, at Optimum Results, after almost 3 decades, I think it's fair to say that we're good at the training bit, and we think we're well placed to bring this program to the market. So let's move on now to look at what we mean when we talk about the barriers, what specifically we mean. Ambitious women face barriers to their career progression, that we know. These barriers just do not exist for ambitious men. They are not encountered. And this is, I guess, probably the most inspiring part for me, the part that gave me the impetus to feel we have to do something about this, is that most women, unless they go and find out themselves, but most women are never educated about these barriers or told about them in a formal way. Yet almost all women will experience many or most of those barriers. So this is our second webinar of today. And I gave the example earlier of how when I was a 25-year-old graduate coming out of college, very wet behind the ears with my shiny 1-1 degree, I felt that because I'd worked so hard and proven my ability, everything else would work itself out. And ideally, I would love to be going into colleges and delivering this program to young women before they go out into the working world. Because what happens is when you're not aware of the barriers, and you don't have any official sort of formal knowledge of them. Remember, when I was 25, the level of information that's available to us wasn't available back then. I think LinkedIn, for example, was only barely a thing. We didn't have access to the same level of research and information. And it took me a long time, as green as I was, it took me a long time to realize that a lot of the challenges I was facing to career progression were related to issues around gender, issues around stereotype, and in fact, nothing to do with my ability to strive and do well and lead well in a professional environment. We're going to look a little bit closer at these barriers because they are important. Once we identify the barriers, it shows the value of the actual program content, because the content was decided specifically to address each of these barriers. So the barriers are generally divided into personal barriers, so things that we do to ourselves sort of preconditioned mindsets that we have, organizational barriers, and societal barriers. So let's have a closer look. So societal barriers, what do we mean by that? So we're talking about things like gender stereotypes, what we should be doing for who we are. And this can be from our wider community. So again, as a young professional, I was given the opportunity to go to China with an American corporate that I worked with. And my mother-in-law, who's really well-intentioned, was sort of horrified that I would need to go to China for 2 weeks, or that I would maybe even consider it when I was the mother of small children, despite the fact that I had a husband who was perfectly capable of minding those small children. But again, when you get those, let's call them vibes from people in your wider circle, if you don't understand where those feelings are coming from on their part, it can hold you back a little bit, and it can influence your decisions. The caring role, in Ireland, and very recent research has revealed this. In Ireland, we are still at that stage where the woman is expected to take on the majority of the caring role, be that for her own offspring, or be it for her wider family, an elderly parent or somebody else in the family who needs care. The domestic side hustle. So a report released last year by the Irish Human Rights and Equality Commission and the Economic and Social Research Institute, so the ESRI, revealed that Irish women spend on average 20 hours a week on domestic tasks. So that's like having a part-time job on top of your regular job. So in this program, we talk about how can women face that challenge head on? What can we do in order to get over challenges like that and not let them be the thing that make us lose that motivation for progressing ahead with our careers. And one other thing I love about this program actually is that, we talk about networking and negotiation skills, but these are skills not just for your corporate life, but actually skills that are really beneficial to help you to juggle your career and your busy home life. So for example, if you're a great networker at home as well as at work, you'll probably struggle less to find somebody to look after your children if your childminder becomes ill. So there are skills that we look at that actually benefit both aspects of life. So personal barriers, so skeptical ambition, why wouldn't
Sorry, Amy, just to let you know, I don't mean to, just before you move on, there's a good question in there about the suitability of this for someone in a small organization as opposed to just a large one. So perhaps when you get a second, is that okay? Thanks.
Yeah, I work in a small team at the moment. Hi, Brinan. Would I be suitable for this program? Absolutely. I mean, it completely depends on your career aspirations. And this program is designed for anybody, regardless of the size of the team they're working for now. Even if you're not currently working, it's designed for anybody who feels they are ambitious enough and wants to progress within their career, or maybe is a little bit frustrated that they are not progressing at the speed at which they feel their career should be progressing. This is also a great program for anybody who is maybe between jobs, or considering changing roles, or considering changing industries. So again, just absolutely bring on. Again, as I said, it wasn't designed, this program, with any size organization or any specific industry or anything like that in mind, because these struggles or barriers are universal. So hopefully that answers your question. So the strive for perfection, skeptical ambition. So we were talking about skeptical ambition. So women sometimes, not surprisingly, like me with my 25-year-old coming out of college with my shiny 1-1 degree, very ambitious. But sometimes we lose that ambition because we become disillusioned, that it can feel like a bit of a war zone if you're trying to progress to a management level at work. And that's why we maybe get a bit skeptical, and we become a little bit disillusioned. So how do we fight those feelings and not let them water down our ambition? We know from the research that men are more likely to be hired based on their perceived ability, based on their perceived capabilities at an interview, whereas women tend more to be hired based on their track record and what they've achieved. And the scary thing there is that women are often not good. We tend to play ourselves down on paper, so on our resumes or our CVs, for example. So again, through this program, as part of the personal branding exercise, we'll learn how to be much better at presenting ourselves well, not just in person, but also on paper. Okay, so I'm looking at Lynn here. Work with a team of 8 females at different stages, levels of their careers, and with different ambitions and responsibility. Would this cater for us all? It definitely would, Lynn. It definitely would. The program at this level is generic, but the problems, as I said, tend to be universal for women at any stage of their career. They will encounter these similar barriers to their career progression. But what I would say is that we will also customize programs. So for example, if you wanted to run a program specifically for your team, we would customize it to the needs of your team. And I just see, Nikki, you want to also add something there? I don't know if you're on mute, Nikki.
Sorry, no, Amy, I think you got it all covered. Thank you.
Grand, no worries. Okay, great to see the questions coming in, guys. Keep firing away. We you know, it's better, and whatever people are thinking is probably what other people are thinking. So please do give us your questions. So the strive for perfection, again, a little bit related to the job hunt or going for the promotion. Men will go for the promotion if they have 50 to 70% of the requirements for the new role, whereas women tend to only go for promotions or new jobs if they feel they can meet 100% of the requirements. Backstage working. So us women are very good at working very hard, keeping our heads down and believing that the rest will work itself out. And related to that is the next point, is that we tend not to be political. We don't tend to have agendas at work. And we really do need to get better at having a bigger plan and make sure that we get our names on projects that are important to the wider management team, that have good exposure in the organization. And this program will teach participants about the importance of striking up conversations with the right people in the office, visitors to the office from other parts of the organization, etc. And basically telling people what it is that you're working on. Organizational barriers, so access to the right experience. Again, women aren't always available because of the increased care duty to work 40 hours. Maybe we've got to take some time out to start a family. So sometimes we miss the experience opportunities. And sometimes I remember during earlier stages in my career, why I'd wonder why men who were the same age as me seemed to be climbing up to senior positions much more quickly. And then I realized that I'd taken some time out while they were continuing to get more experience. I'd had some time out basically to have my family. So how do we box clever about that? Again, what can we do to make sure we have the right experience? It's all in the planning. Lack of role models and mentors. So we've touched on that already. We need more female role models and mentors. Unequal networks. So men tend to have access to networks that benefit their profession. So how can women create those networks? Unconscious bias. So that's probably one of the most difficult ones. And we can't solve all of the issues out there. It's going to take a long time, but there are some great things being done in the corporate world and further afield, and we are becoming more aware of this concept of unconscious bias. So the example that we gave earlier, that we perceive a man at interview to be able and suited to a position because we perceive him to be capable and competent, whereas for a woman we are judging her more differently. And that's unconscious bias. And another issue with the networks is attribution bias, if people have heard of that before, where we sometimes tend to hire people just like us. So if you think about that, we know from the data, I think it was the CSO last year revealed that, you know, only 30% of senior managers in Ireland are female, only 30%. So the role models at that level are few and far between. So chances are, if you're going for a senior role, your interviewing panel is going to be very male. So how do we change that? If attribution bias is at play, chances are they might want to hire somebody like them. So how do we get past that? the concept of needing to be always on, the always on culture. Now, again, conscious to say we can't change the always on culture in an organization or an industry, the requirement to be always available. We can't change that with this program. But what we hope is that learners will go back to organizations where maybe that culture exists, do a little bit more research and say, this is why this is not good. Actually, can we do this instead? Any other questions, guys? Just put them in the chat. So we're moving on to see how the program drives solutions, provides solutions to the participants in terms of things they will be able to do and skills they learn to get over these barriers and challenges to progression. So learn skills to bypass the barriers to women's success. And to be honest, even before we learn the skills, so I see this program as divided into two parts. The first part is exploring what those barriers and challenges are. And then the second part is learning the skills you need and the strategies you need to be able to overcome those barriers. But actually, when you do the first piece about the research and the fact that many, many women are experiencing these same barriers to progression, it's a very much a wonderful moment for participants of a program like this, because they realize all this time I thought it was maybe me, I thought it was something to do with me, but actually there could be other things at play. Okay, so I see someone here, I am a job seeker, do you think this will help me get a managerial role? I have the qualifications, but I'm returning to the workforce after having a baby and I feel I need something to give me a boost to land the job I want. Could I put this on my CV? Hi there. Yeah, I can't see your name. You absolutely could put it on your CV. Excuse me, it would depend on your experience to date. I'd need more specifics, but one of the things I'm going to talk about in a minute is a CV clinic that we'll deliver as part of this program. So I think that's something that you could really benefit from. So I'll elaborate a little bit more on that for you in a while, and the best of luck with your return to work, but you could definitely put this on your CV, absolutely. So the solutions are, so you've realized that, you know, maybe it's not just that you're not cut out for an industry or anything like that. Maybe there's other things at play. So what do the solutions look like? They look like learned skills that will enable you to bypass many of the barriers to your success. Strategies for overcoming gender-based challenges. So simple strategies that you can use to overcome gender-based challenges, like being better at self-advocacy. A game plan for achieving career progression. So the game plan is a huge part of this program. And it's basically a plan for career progression that you will create with the support of your training team. The right networking skills for the online and offline world. So we know we have incredible networking opportunities now, not only offline, but also online. Networking can be very misunderstood. And, you know, even if you're very extroverted, some of the best people at networking are extroverted because it's misunderstood. And one of the best networking skills you can actually have is the ability to be a good listener and remember things about people and communicate back to them based on what you remembered about them, making them feel that a little bit special, I guess, is how it works, because people love to be listened to more than to be spoken at. So if you're a good listener and can make somebody feel interesting, that's a great networking skill. So that's just one interesting little snippet of content that we discuss on the program. Access to a new network of like-minded, ambitious women. So we are very keen that the Slack group that we create for this program, don't worry if you've never heard of Slack, but Slack is basically a forum that will enable us to communicate, to share extra content that will help to reinforce the learning from the day, to chat to each other in a formal or informal way, maybe to share some points of frustration and get some support from the other members of the group. So, and we hope that the network will last long after the program is finished and that we will build on it all the time. So this is what the program structure is like. So the program is designed around 3 main strands of learning. So you can see there on the slide, managing self, managing business, and managing digital. So this structure enables participants to develop themselves, but also their business acumen in tandem, all the while learning about the digital resources that can help them to work more efficiently and present more effectively, but also the digital resources that can help them to manage busy lives in a more efficient way. So what would my week look like if I take part in this program? I'm very keen to say, please ignore the dates on this slide, because they're just for example purposes, okay? We wanted to just give you an example of what your week might look like. We haven't actually decided yet on dates for the program. We're going to wait until until we have all of our bookings, and then basically we will work with the most popular dates and times. We'll do a poll to see what the most popular options are. So the course is delivered over 12 weeks. So it's 6 3-hour online classes delivered bi-weekly. So every week you'll have, every second week you'll have a 3-hour class. And then you'll have approximately 1 hour of online coursework per week. So approximately 1 hour of online coursework per week that you can do at any time yourself. So you can see there, for example, if the program started on the 21st of March, the week of the 21st to the 25th of March might look like this. So all your 3 hours of learning taking place on the 23rd of March, from 9 a.m. until 12:10 in the afternoon. So you'd have your managing self hour, a short break, then you'd have your managing business hour, a short break, and then your managing digital hour and a short break. And then you can complete the coursework anytime during that week at basically a time that suits you. Will the courses be recorded and available afterwards? Yes, absolutely. Courses will be recorded and will be made available afterwards. Yes, and they will indeed. Absolutely. So Lynn, I can see you have your hand up there. I won't be able to hear you now, just the way the webinar is set up, but you feel free to put your comment in the chat or your question. Okay then, so what are the other elements? So we've talked about the online classes, okay? So important to reiterate, the program is completely online. There's no requirement for you to be in a room at any time or date, unless it's because we're meeting for drinks to celebrate how great the program was. So what else do you get other than the online classes? So you'll have your action plan for the career development. And we know the strength of writing something down or developing something in company as opposed to committing to it just in our head. You know, you need to write it down if you want it to happen. So you will have your completed action plan at the end of the course, and most of your offline work, so those 1 hour a week assignments, will relate to developing your action plan. You'll have access to all the course content and added resources on the Optimum Results Zeem Cloud platform for training, and this will be available to you for 12 months post-program. You'll have an optional mentoring session. There'll be a CV clinic. So this is for this lady who was asking about CVs. So another option, we are conscious that many people on the program might decide, you know, because it is sort of a journey of self-awareness, and might decide, you know what, I want to change jobs, I want to change industry. So we are offering the people, we are offering participants the opportunity to have a one-on-one CV clinic where we look at your CV and give some recommendations for how you can improve that, improve it for a specific job that you intend to go for, or just in general. Like I said, we'll have a Slack group, very easy to operate. If you can operate Facebook, you can operate a Slack group. It's an online forum if you haven't come across it, for communication for a team. You will have the option of certification. And as I said, we can customize programs for specific teams. If there's a couple of people from one team, and certification might be a required option there. During the program, we will be recommending lots of podcasts, lots of viewing material. So it could be, you know, TEDx videos or something else online. And also we'll give a recommended reading list, because we want your learning to continue long after the program has finished. But what we want you to be able to do is we want to be able to direct you to the right sources for that continued journey of learning. And all sessions will be recorded. We would ideally like, well, obviously we'd like everyone to attend 100% of the live classes online, but if it's a thing that you have to miss a class or two, there will be recordings available. So who are the training team? So this is a sample of who will be involved in the training team. We have a large body of training experts and subject matter experts within the Optimum Results team. But definitely I will be involved as the program director. So just a little background about myself. I'm a marketing consultant by trade. I've worked with Optimum Results for many years, and women's entrepreneurship and female corporate development as one of my areas, one of my passions. But I'm also a trainer for Google Digital Garage. And I tend to work with Irish SMEs on a daily basis on their marketing campaigns. We also have Emma Hart, who is now actually the director of Optimum Results' sister company, and that's Customer Perceptions. And Emma has firsthand experience of what it's like to come up through the rank as a female in a corporate environment, and she will be sharing some of her expertise with us. Emma has a lot of expertise, obviously, in the area of consumer research in retail, hospitality, and tourism, and we'll have some great learnings to share with us. We will also be joined by a colleague of mine who's based in the UK called Krishma Parekh. She's worked on some programs in the UK with myself, and Krishma, again, she's a Facebook learning and enablement lead, but she's also passionate about diversity and inclusion, and has a lot of experience in training in that area. So we'd be delighted to have Krishma as one of our contributors on this program. And then finally, Valerie McConville has worked in commercial leadership for over 15 years in various sectors, including press, radio, so great marketing background there. And she's currently head of business development at Northern Ireland Chamber of Commerce and Industry. And so again, another great skill set to have available to the participants of the program. So maybe the question everybody was thinking about asking but didn't. So the standard course fee for a course program like this from Optimum Results is usually $699 per participant, let's say 700. And the early bird offer is €360 per participant. And this is available to participants who book before the 1st of February. The even better news than that is that we are operating a payment plan for people who are paying out of their own pocket. And we're operating a payment plan for of €30 per week over 12 weeks, because remember, the course is delivered bi-weekly. So 1 3-hour class every second week over 12 weeks. So for the price of a few gin and tonics, or a nice meal, you could have this program under your belt and certainly put it on your CV. Do we have any questions? I'm conscious that people are quite quiet, so I just want to check in and see if we have any more questions. I think we've answered, do I need to pay a deposit? No, Lynn, you don't need to pay a deposit. You don't need to pay a deposit. Any other questions? Almost forgot about my nice question slide there. Just give people a chance to type in case there's any more questions. Again, just important to say that we deliver both a generic version of the program and a customized version. So the customized version would only be changed to suit the particular needs, the needs of a particular organization if it was being delivered in-house. So how do I book? Well, basically at Optimum Results, we will be getting back in touch with anybody who attended the webinar. Because we want your feedback, absolutely, because we want to all the time be improving these webinars. So please let us know if you feel that the webinar and the advertisements, that the content of the program was clearly advertised, and the ads do reflect what the program is about. And please let us know of any questions you had that you maybe didn't want to ask in the forum here today, which is absolutely fine. And yeah, we'll just leave the floor open for another minute to see if there are any further questions.